Oh, where'd that come from? Welcome to this week's episode of Sweet Drumming with me, Seb Sweet. This week's topic starts off with equipment. So a few people have asked me what my symbols here are. So I'm going to go into it. Let me just adjust the camera a bit so you can see better. There we go. So these are a set of low volume, hence the perforations. Low volume symbols. I actually bought these off Temu, that really shitty Chinese app, which you'd be surprised what you can get off it really. But I bought, I think it was a 16-inch crash amongst a bunch of other bits and pieces. I think I paid £12 for it, with the mindset of they'll send me something. You know, £12, they'll send me something. And they sent me this. Which I think you'll agree doesn't sound too bad. So for £30, I bought a basic set, which was two crash cymbals, 18 and 16, 20-inch ride, and the 14-inch hats for £30. And I can't speak, I haven't got a bad word for them. I think they're fantastic. Are they a bit thin and a bit, yeah, because the thin, low-volume cymbals, they're not going to sound as full and feel quite the same as your standard heavier cymbals. But for 30 quid, I mean, the China was an extra 14, the Splash was an extra 10, but for the price you pay, you're getting a really nice set of low volumes. I've been taking this whole set out for a gig every 2 weeks with Gemma and Steve, and I can't knock it. It makes this electric drum kit setup so much more playable and so much more enjoyable to play. So don't go out spending loads of money on the Zildjians or the Stags or whatever other company are doing them. You're spending too much money. Coming from a poor background, I never had much money for gear. It was always whatever I could afford. If I ever did have something nice, I've had a few Sabian AXs over the years. I've had a couple of Zildjian A customs over the years. They've never lasted long. I've had more years and more use out of cheap Stags and cheaper, models than I have out of the expensive ones. So just the only piece of equipment I would say is worth spending extra money on. The only thing I wouldn't skimp out on is drum heads. So one sec. Yep. So yeah, drum heads. No matter whether you've got a cheap drum kit or an expensive drum kit, no matter what you've got, buy good heads. I use Evans heads on mine, which is my personal preference. I like the bass drum heads, and that extended out to the tom heads. I've been using the EC2s on my toms recently. Always use an EMAD on the kick, and I always experiment with different snare heads. But I found they're absolutely fantastic. You can use Remo, Aquarian, Code. There's a load of different drum heads companies out there. But it's one of the few things I will say that is worth spending money on. No matter what, buy good heads, tune your drums properly, and you'll have no issues. Right, well, that's my little 2 cents on equipment. Don't overspend. You don't need. If you have the money, go out and buy a DW or a Roland or Sabians or whatever. They're great products. You're not going to go wrong with them. But if you don't have that kind of money available, don't despair. Don't overspend. There's some great budget gear out there. You've just got to look for it. And it's all just as good, in my opinion. I had an A custom Zildjian crash. I think I've had about 2 years out of it before it broke. And then I had a Stag 16-inch SH crash cymbal, which I think I had 6-7 years before that broke. 60 quid. So don't despair. There's great gear out there. It sounds great. It's durable. You've just got to look for it and learn which ones work for you. And then just don't skimp on heads. Put good heads on your drums. So anyway, moving on from equipment, let's get straight on. Pete Hicks, my good friend Pete, who has an album coming out soon, which you should check out. It sounds really good. Has asked me about the linear drum fills that I do, which, for your information, I stole off Mike Portnoy. That's what you do. This is what you do as a musician. You hear someone doing one thing and you think, I want to do that. And so you start copying them. And eventually you make it your own, you do it your own way. I'm not sure if I've ever changed it to my own way, but I've been doing these split fills for a long time now. And it's just part of the way I play. My left foot will automatically, if I haven't got a dual bass drum pedal next to me, the amount of times I'll move my left foot over to an empty space and be disappointed if it's not there. Because it's just become a part of the way I play. So it starts off, I'll break it down. So we're going to go 2 on the top, left and right, and 2 with your feet, left and right. build that speed up and listen for that relationship between the two parts. You can extend it out with a 4 on top and a 2 on the bottom. 6 on top. You could do 2 on top and 4 on the bottom. So yeah, there's loads of different combinations you can use, and I just find that around the kit, just throwing one in there occasionally, it always sounds bigger than it should do, and I always get people turning around saying, "Oh, what was that?" It's nothing special. It's just me. It's me cheating, is what it comes down to. But one of my favourite things to do is to like an extended drum fill, like an extended drum roll, that makes it sound like I'm working 3 times harder than I am. And all I'm doing is I'm doing the 2 on top with the 2 on the bottom on the tom-toms. So it sounds like this. Let's move it around a little bit. And just different combinations and playing about with it a little bit. Just to give you this, it makes it sound like you're doing so much more than you are and it's going so much faster than you are. It's nice and easy to build that speed up. It's a good way to practice building speed up, especially with the flam, because essentially all you're doing when you get up to a certain speed is you're just playing a flam with your hands and with your feet. It's almost effortless at this point, but that's 20 years of playing these kind of fills. So Pete, that's how we're breaking it down. That's how we're doing it. You need that second pedal. If you're fast enough with your foot, if you're a bit of a knicker brain, you could do it with 1 foot. I find it a little awkward to do it, and I do sometimes depending on the tempo, but generally I'll bring my left foot in. And my left hand isn't the strongest. I didn't practice enough with it when I was younger. I am trying to remember that these days. I have been spending the last couple of years trying to really strengthen my left hand and make it a bit better. But for years now, my left leg has kind of filled in the gaps. It's been there to back up my left hand. So that's where a lot of my playing comes from. Listen to a lot of Dream Theater, early sort of Mike Portnoy era Dream Theater, and you'll hear a lot of what I do. I stole so much from it. Hit that and Rush. I guess Mike Portnoy and Neil Peart, if you put those two together, you've got basically what I do. So yeah, that's it. I'm not going to talk anymore because I'm bored of my own voice. So that's episode 4. Oh, the wife did actually buy me a Rush ticket for next year. So if you're going to see him in Manchester on the Sunday, I think it's the 14th of March, I'll be there. So look out for me. Thanks for watching. I'll do a solo to play us out, and I'll see you next week. Nice one, guys.